Bees get heat stressed, so you got to look at all of this. You know, we want all of our brood boxes to have frames that look like this. The real world is the bees don't read the book, and so we're lucky when we get this. But this is what we want. Anything that deviates from that, you really need to pull out your magnifying glass and dig through it and solve the crime of what's going on with it. That's the eggs you want. One beautiful egg right in the center. Sometimes you gotta wear your veil and put your glasses on and find the sun and get there. That's why I use black foundation for my brood, because the white eggs are much easier to find. And your eyes are like, they're not working today. And the big juicy white larvae. You want them fat. You want them C-shaped, obviously, but you also want the bottom that they're laying in, you want it wet. They'll dry out quick. So, but they need to be floating in food. And if they're not, you may have a problem. They're not going to be as healthy as they could be. There's a good book about bee nutrition. Fat Bee, Skinny Bee. Fat Bee, Skinny Bee. Talks about it. In my world, in the veterinary field, fat animals are not healthy. 100% opposite in the bee world. You want a fat bee. You do not want a fat dog or cat. So, but there's disease processes that are going to mimic a sick queen. So, a lot of the cures for these disease processes is to requeen, but you still need to know what's going on. You need to figure out what's happening. Is it the queen itself that's sick? Or is there a disease process that I still need to requeen? Heat stress. Right now, your bees are stressed. It's hot. So it's hot, it is humid, everybody's cranky. They will pull larvae if they don't have enough. They can't keep them cool enough. If the bees are getting too hot, if they get good hygienic, they'll go ahead and start pulling these larvae because they're just too hot to take care of them. They're not going to be healthy and viable. So you need to, really pay attention. There's your spotty brood pattern. Now, it's not Nosema, it's not European foul brood. They're hot. So you got to pay attention.
Hey, Terry, we've got our hives like right out in the middle of our pasture, so they get a lot of sun all day long. Should we consider, and we've had one hive that's had problems, should we consider getting them somewhere where they can get shade, or just try to...
There's like 5 answers to that I can give you. Number 1, bees in the wild live in a tree. They're in a tree. Number 2, we do know that bees that are out in the sunshine have less varroa and hive beetles and other things like that because they're out in full sun. But we also know people are limited where they can put their bees. So maybe the only spot that you have to say, where you can get to them safely. No, venom. Make sure they've got full ventilation. Right. Make sure they've got a water source. They'll be fine. Because that's the real answer is do make your life easier. They will adapt. So, but just ventilate them. Pop it open. Make sure they've got a good water source. Screen bottom board. Everybody always asks me what color are my hives. Oops paint. So when you're walking through the big box store and somebody's got the wrong green that they wanted, they're green, they're white. We did stain a few. Those were pretty for a minute and a half. Stain does not hold up well. But just, don't paint them dark colors. Rodney, master beekeeper in the club, he's got several of his hives that are painted camouflage. And I'm like, that's not fine. And they're sitting in the middle of a pasture and they're dark. So I would prefer lighter colors, but I also, traditionally they're painted white because at the time people started keeping bees in boxes, they had 2 colors of paint. They had black and white, so that's why they're traditionally white. Oops paint could make a light color. Bill's got some funny color. I think Butch has got some pink ones. Do you have pink? You've got pink boxes?
Just about every color.
Yeah.
Whatever Walmart, Home Depot has.
So, water source, So Facebook, and then I get the calls also about, there's bees at the community pool. There was actually a lady on Focus on Forsyth saying, hey, do beekeepers provide water for their bees? I'm like, yeah, we do. That is the only time I like a boardman feeder. I don't like boardman feeder for feed your bees, but you can give water to your bees on the front of the hive. All right, going into the dirt. So if you had this big booming hive, and we had a lot, let's say we had a lot of rain. So we had your hive is ginormous, and right in the middle of the nectar flow, we had a week of rain. Your bees did not bring in a lot of usable nectar and pollen. The rain got it all. So now you've got this big, huge hive. We're in the dearth. Your bees are starving to death, even though they shouldn't be in July and August. So now is not the time for them to be starving. If it's bad enough, let's say we had a full-on drought, like we've had in years past. Those vegetarians, those little vegan bees, I guess is what we'll call them, they'll pull the larvae out and eat them. The bees in that hive need that protein. So if all of a sudden all of your larvae is they're just ripping it open and you see them munching down on little Timmy, you got a problem. You need to go ahead and start feeding hot and heavy on these bees. So it's going to look like your queen is not laying. When you go, it's like you're going to have a spotty brood pattern. It's nutritional stress. Yeah, feed them. Have y'all seen such a thing? Feed the bees. Alright, to feed them. There's some new data coming out with different ratios of sugar and water. I'm lazy. The ratios aren't that dramatic to me. A gallon of water is 8 pounds. Now 2 bags of sugar is 8 pounds. There you go. There's 1 to 1. That's, I'll do that. Start feeding them now. Unless you're these guys that have lots and lots, they buy in bulk. Check your pollen stores. Butch kind of touched on this. If you do not have enough pollen in your hive, your bees are not going to get through the winter. Spring bees, they're dead in 4 to 6 weeks. They work themselves to death. The bees you have going into the fall are going to be your winter bees that keeps your hive alive. They're going to live 3 months, 3 or 4 months. If they are not fat, sassy, and fed well, they're not going to make it, and your hive is going to dwindle. And again, that's going to be that light hive. Like in June, you had a full box. Now your population of bees are just slowly dwindling down. It's not the queen. She's still laying, but they're dying of starvation. So that's when to feed. You can bump it up 2 to 1. I'm lazy. I'm still 1 to 1. And then you've got diseases of the brood that mimic the queen not laying well. Because you've got a good hygienic queen. They're a good hygienic queen, so the genetics are pulling out disease. PMS, yes, it happens in bees. It's parasitic mite syndrome. Looks like you've got a queen problem when it's not. You've got a hive problem. European foul brood. Looks like you've got a queen problem. You don't. You got disease process. So you really got to look at all of this. If your hive is not fat and healthy, why is it, and is it a queen or not? Especially now. Queens, another month or 2, you will not be able to get a mated queen that's going to be healthy enough to keep you through. So PMS is what it looks like. The pupa is uncapped. They're discolored. You'll see the mites all over them. And no amount of chocolate's going to fix it. Treat your bees. There's your viruses, deformed wing virus, and again it's dwindling. Cow duty, please. We're licking the truck. So deformed wing virus, again your population is going to start dwindling. You're going to think your queen's not laying. She's laying. They're just dying. Acute bee paralysis is another one. You get this from your varroa. They're kind of little bald little bees. They look really pitiful. So again, all of this, you treat for your varroa and you feed your bees. European foul brood. So that is a brood problem, not a queen problem. So if you've got hygienic bees, they're going to pull it out, and that's what the pattern is. It looks like it wanted to be a pretty pattern, and it probably was until everybody was like, ooh, we don't like you, and start dragging it out and cleaning cells. So, feed them. Free queen. So it's technically a brood problem. You want a queen. You want that hive as strong as possible. The books tell you to use antibiotics. I don't like antibiotics. The books tell you to use it. That's why I don't like antibiotics. Honeybees are considered food animals. If I go over to Bessie over here and I give her a shot of Pen-G in her neck, I know I've got to wait 12 weeks before I can have her milk for the withdrawal time. Or, yeah, milk. We're going to call it milk because that'd be mean to talk about other things we have from cows. There is no withdrawal time for your honey. So most of your food animals, when you give antibiotics to them, we know the antibiotics are going to clear their system. When we give antibiotics to bees, it's in the honey. There's absolutely 100% no withdrawal time. It's there. It's going to be there forever. If you don't know it, and you don't know what the beekeeper treated with, there is the potential for anaphylaxis. You're allergic to the antibiotic that the beekeeper used. There's also antibiotic resistance. So it used to be you could run up to Tractor Supply and get some Tylenol powder, mix it with powdered sugar, and microdose your bees. Y'all remember that? We had a member doing that just for fun, just to make sure they were healthy. Every week he would sprinkle a little bit of antibiotics in his hives. Can't do that now. You gotta have a feed directive, just like if you were giving your cow antibiotics. So, and you got to get that from a veterinarian that knows bee medicine. They don't make those. All right, that's how you do it. I don't do it. So if you think you've got a problem and you thought it was your queen, but come to find out it's a disease process, in my opinion, is not to use antibiotics. A lot of your disease problem is because Butch talked about it, is you do have a problem in your hive and your workers know it and they're cleaning it up. So don't just jump straight to requeening. Don't just jump straight to treatment. It may be they're doing their job, and if they're doing their job well, your hive may be okay, but you need to stay on top of it. So just make sure your spotty pattern is not them doing their job. So, tree queen issues. She's pretty. We like her. Alright, we've got a drone layer. She's out of sperm. So keep in mind, your queen, your drones are unfertilized eggs. And so if all of a sudden, not in the springtime, but right now, you've got more drone than you do worker, your queen's out of gas. And either she's older than what you thought she was, or she was poorly mated. You need a new queen. So, quick. You need a new queen. Quick. We're in July. So, go look. I mean, and when you look at her, she may be fat and sassy. She may have that big old, queen butt. And she may look pretty, and her wings are still glossy, and they're not all tattered. But if she's laying more drones in the middle of July and August, you need to requeen immediately. Because by the end of August, September, you won't be able to get a queen. So go ahead and start looking. If that's the case, you come into the, late August, September, you may have to combine that hive. Now you've got, with another hive, now you've got, super duper hive going into the winter, make your split coming out of winter when we have drones again. Laying worker, somebody's got a laying worker. Who had a laying worker? All right, laying worker is a beekeeper snafu because it takes 28 days for the about 28 days for the pheromones that the queen suppresses. After about 28 days, the worker, her ovaries have kicked into gear for some strange reason, and that's what you're going to have. So that was 3 weeks of hive inspections that you missed.
No, I knew there was no queen, but there were a bunch of queen cells, and so I thought there was a virgin like going out to get mated, and then she has to do her thing, and then no, I've known since the beginning of June.
Okay.
I've known since the beginning of June
Alright.
that there was no queen.
How was the temperament of the hive?
They're pissy.
So, all right, when you have this,
Oh, sorry.
typically eggs are not going to do anything at all, but again, you're going to need to requeen. Caveat to this is sometimes you have a new queen and you need to pay attention real close.
So,
So,
if it happens in the future, should I not let my queen cells hatch and try to get them mated? Should I have just destroyed them and purchased a mated queen? Because I asked my
yeah, there's
girl
5 or
that
6
helps me.
answers to that question too. So, surefire. It's not even surefire. If you've got a queenless hive, but you've got queen cells, if those are emergency queen cells,
They weren't. I mean, they were big and long, and there were like still some little C's in there where she was laying, and then she was gone. So I'm assuming she swarmed. I don't know. I did ask for advice, but I don't know.
Well,
what
there's
I
lots of
did.
answers, though. That's the problem, is there's so many answers to the same question. Is I would have taken the frames for the queen cells, I would have made a split, as Butch calls it, that would be your plan B. And I would put a queen in. Now you got 2 hives. If the queen you put in over here fails for some reason, these hatched, she hatched, got a good one here, boom. You've got, that's where you're planting. So there's so many answers to that one question, and all of them have flaws.
Well, I did what I was told,
Yep.
and here I
But you
am.
know what?
I'm
Do
still
something different
learning.
next time. I mean, seriously, because it doesn't always work. I don't care who you are. They didn't read the book. So
if you keep introducing open brood, then that you won't get a laying worker. Is that correct?
in theory. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like basically because it's been broodless for so long, that's how the pheromones
Correct.
disappear.
The pheromones are completely gone.
So if you're trying to raise a queen,
I
from a
would
split.
So
you
one
just
of
keep
the
adding-
things, if you've got a queenless hive and you're not sure if they're going to raise other queens, you go to your other hives and you take brood and you keep throwing in it until you're sure you've got a new queen, and that a little insurance that you're not going to end up with a laying worker. So
One of mine did the same thing this year. I had
You
two.
live and learn.
Right, well, I
Yeah.
had 2 splits and 2 nukes, and then one raised a queen, one didn't, had a laying worker, so then I was able to combine the 2, and so then I just had one hive. But yeah,
they don't read the book.
is she coming back?
So treatment is shake them out. You shake them out. They'll find their way to another hive. All you've done is boosted the population of the other hives. So then you can make a split later to get your, to have a hive back. So if you started out with 4, you had to shake one. Now you're down to 3. Boosted your population. You can come back to 4 in a couple of weeks. Adding the open frames of brood from your other hives for up to 3 weeks, because that's your incubation period. You're going to need to see if you've got a queen coming in. Should suppress the ovaries until you're sure. So, and then combine them. So, combine them. Alright, what if you can't find your queen? What if you've got larvae that's 3 or 4 days old, don't have any new eggs, oh god, where's she at? So, could be you missed a queen cell, and the new queen hatched out, and the old queen found the new queen, and there was a fight to the death, and they both died. That happens. It could be your queen, again, if, let's say it was a swarm, an unmarked queen, you don't know how old she is. So she died of old age, but she didn't bother to tell you she was getting old. Or you dropped you're doing an hive inspection and you dropped it and, well, you killed your queen. Or did your hive swarm when you wasn't looking and they left a queen cell behind and your new queen has gone out to get mated? All of those are possibilities if you can't find the queen. So you really got to go through. So no eggs, no young larvae. Your capped brood is hatching out at a high rate of speed. The brood area is being backfilled with honey. That is never a good sign. If they're doing it because they don't have a queen, that's bad. If they're doing it because they're out of room and you need to add some room for them to put honey, put nectar in there. If that's true, if the queen shows up, they'll slurp out the nectar from the brood area so the queen will have a place to lay. So she's out on her flight, she's going to come back and start laying. Keep in mind when she comes back and starts laying, she is smaller for a few little bits before her bud gets big enough. So she is going to look like a worker bee. Still a bit bigger, but she'll resemble a worker bee. Sometimes your new queens haven't quite figured out the single leg and the cell trick, and so they can lay multiple eggs in a cell, but they're still, her bud's still deep enough, those eggs stand up, they don't fall over, they're not off to the side. So don't be alarmed if you've got a swarm, a queen's hatched out, but that's not a laying worker, that's a queen that her manufacturing plant's not online yet. So recent hatch out, they're going to come out of the bottom. You have a little trap door. If you've got multiple queen cells and you've got one with a trap door and then you've got one with a hole chewed in the side, Queenie hatched out and killed that one. Need to find her. See? They'll chew through it, kill them. And again, that's when you start to panic if you can't find your queen, because now all of your queen cells are not viable. These are not viable queen cells. You can't find your queen. Keep a real close eye on that hive, throw some open brood, see how it works. So, see the virgin is not much bigger than your worker bee. That's why she can fly, guys. When their butts get big, they can't fly. Alright, options if you can't find them. And again, all of these have flaws. Every stinking one of them have a flaw. Purchase a mated queen, keep her in her cage, keep her in, hope that by the time she's accepted by the hive, the queen that was out on the mating flight doesn't come back and kill each other. So if you purchase a queen, remove all the cells. In my opinion, don't kill them. Put them in a nuke box. That's your insurance. That's Butch's plan B. So that way if something happens, you've got queen cells you can pull from. Don't let her out of her queen cage on day one. They don't like her yet. They'll kill her. Let them dictate when she gets free of her cage. Yeah, there's the caveat. So, you got a virgin queen in there and you've missed her, they could fight to death. So you got to be real careful. So that's why I think if you buy a queen and you're not sure if you have a queen, you don't know if she's out on a flight, you don't know, but you've got queen cells, put them in a safe place so you can use them if you need them. Worst case scenario, you've got another hive.
So if you put in a frame of eggs into a potentially queenless hive, how long will it take them to make queen cells for you to come back and check to see, like, yes,
They'll start working on it within 24 hours. They'll start going, oh crap.
So if you go back the next day, you'll
start seeing the formations.
Okay.
So I should have, when I saw all those queen cells, put some in a nuke box as
And
insurance.
the perfect world. But
Now
that
we know.
but that's the perfect
If we have
world.
a million pieces of equipment sitting around.
Yeah. We said we didn't want to have lots of equipment when we started. Do we have lots of equipment?
We do now.
Yeah. You do now. Do you need more? Always. Alright. So the other thing you can have is drones coming in and spotty brood, and it's like, oh, is she out of gas? No, she's poorly mated. So in times of severe, weird genetic dearth, so let's say you've got a virgin queen, and I don't know where you live, but it's somewhere desolate, and there's not a good genetic population around. There are weird times where your virgin queen will mate with a drone in the hive, and that never works well. So you'll have these weird drones. They typically don't hatch out, and if they do, they're sterile, so they're not even good drones for anything. So that would be your diploid drone. You'll have spotty brood, and again, how you do that is you requeen. But you need to watch. So, so now your queen who can reproduce without a mate has reproduced with a mate, and now you have a fertilized egg as a drone. It's not the way it's supposed to work. So, that haploid and diploid, one's male, one's female. And anything other than that is not going to be a normal bee. If you have a good hygienic hive, they're going to pull them out. They're like, ugh, they're not right. They'll pull them out. They will be feminized. They will be sterile. Typically, they're just not viable. But if you see these little weird looking drones, like they're tiny, or compared to a big fat football player drone, and there's more drones than what there should be, you need to go ahead and requeen. All right, genetic diversity. I know we haven't mentioned that at all. Is the 23andMe report ever going to be released, Bill?
What?
The 23andMe type report, was it ever fully released?
Not that I know of. I know I'm supposed to have the
like
report, and I
September,
never
a year
have
and a
gotten
half
it
ago,
yet.
2 years ago. So eventually, there was several people in Forsyth County submitted, there was a genetic, what's the genetic diversity in your area, submitted bees for study. It has been a year and a half, almost 2 years ago.
Well, they're supposed to release it all at
GBA, but it was...
GBA in October, November.
And then they said, no, but that was a year ago.
This October,
Yeah.
well,
So,
okay.
that's going to be interesting if they ever do release it, to see what Forsyth County genetic diversity has. So you tell them where your apiaries are at, and you send them bees.
Is that the Harper, the last name Harper guy?
Yep. And he talked about it, and he's like, oh, I'll have the full report. A lot of your queen issues, a lot of your hive issues and your queen issues can be solved with genetic diversity. So the frequent requeening. It used to be you could have queens, you just waited till she ran out of gas, they made a new queen, and these queens were going for 3, 4, rare occasion 5 years. When I first started beekeeping, 2 years was the magic number. Production, people were, every 2 years. And now your production bee, they're going yearly. It is not uncommon to requeen yearly. And that's because we did not genetically diversify our bees. So we've got these inbred mutts. They're not healthy. A lot of your producers are just going for quantity and not quality. So even the queens that you're getting that has different genetics are not good genetics, but unfortunately you don't know. So, but the big thing is, especially this time of year, is trying to figure out, is it a queen problem, or is it a disease problem, or is it a stress problem, that you got to quickly rectify it. And properly rectify it, because if you're wrong, you're behind the 8 ball just because of the time of year. The drones are shutting down. We don't have good drone congregation right now. So if you don't get it fixed by the next few weeks, you're going to lose your hive. So that's it. There you go. There you go. That's it. Except for, aw, who's that? This is where all this information came from. I've heard me mention Randy Oliver. I would like for him to come back to speak in Georgia one day. I don't know if that'll happen.
I don't think so.
If I got to see him, it was great. Then he got mad. It was great, with reason. Then there's this guy helped me out. I don't know who he is. Michael Bush, and then all the other information is up there. So, but Michael Bush is amazing about queens. If you want to learn about queens, Randy Oliver, Scientific Beekeeping. It's an absolute wonderful website.
So how often should we be inspecting between now and winter?
There's 5 answers to that.
Yeah.
I don't think you need weekly inspections at this point, as long as this week's inspection is beautiful. But you still need to be in there every couple of weeks.
Okay.
Because what you have, it's going to change, but essentially what's going on in that hive now is going to be your prognostic indicator for how you're going to come out of winter,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
You check them every week if you're feeding them?
No.
Or just move the little
You just
thing
change
to
the
side
bucket.
and
Just-
Yeah, just move it and dump
Just change
it.
the bucket. I mean, that's...
It's not really good, just fill it up.
I mean, if you go in this week and you've got a beautiful pattern, everything looks good, you can spot check. Really and truly, I have eggs. I'm not gonna always find my queen. If I don't have eggs, crap. No, I'm going frame by frame. I mean, or there's not a lot of eggs, I'm going frame by frame. So that's gonna dictate how often you need to go in it. So, this time of year, how often are you in them? Full inspection.
Never a full inspection.
Okay.
But I'll go through and pick up frame, see eggs, see larvae, see brood, or
Food.
Done. Yeah.
pupa. Thank you. And pretty much I'm out of there. But I'm looking at about 20 different things when I'm looking at that one frame, or those 3 or 4 frames. And that's the only thing I care about. If the egg pattern is good, the larva pattern looks good, the brood pupa looks good, hey, I'm out of there. And then next time I come back in, I may do another mite treatment, or not treatment, a test. Because even after you've gotten down to 0 mites,
That's one
6
foraging
weeks
away.
from now,
Yeah.
you may be up to 28, 30 mites in the test. So you gotta keep testing. That's the trick. Test and treat as needed.
Butch, how often are you do a full inspection this time of year?
I probably do the least of anybody in this club. I do. January, I'll go in one time, a brief look, just get a frame of someone, see if they're building up. Same thing February. March, I'm in there every week doing a split. April, May, and June, I do not go in my hive to call unless I sense something wrong. I don't go into them till the end of July unless I sense something is wrong. And I'm like Bill, I'll pull the middle hive if I see brood and some new larvae and a brood frame. I've got plenty of bees. I don't see something wrong, I'm out of them. And then maybe I might look into them. Of course, I do my splits in late July and August. That's going through the whole hive. Outside of that, I do the same thing again in September, October. If I don't sense something wrong, I'll open it up.
So,
Look at the middle frame. I've got brood and moves, cat brood and moves, new eggs and larvae. Other than testing, like you said, yeah, you got to go in and test after treatment. So,
Yeah.
no, I don't do a lot of
I think first year beekeepers go in way more than the rest of us.
Well, you're learning too. When
You
I first
are
got
learning.
my first hive, I was in that hive 2 and 3 times a day.
It's okay.
Now, I got no honey, but my knowledge went like that. And that's what you're really looking for, is that knowledge to where you can look at something and say, okay, this is this.
I sat
But-
right there next to the hive just to see what colors they were bringing in because it was cool and fascinating. And
And that's the
So-
secret of it. Don't just go in and inspect your hive. Walk up your hive and watch it. And you can learn, is it an effective hive? Is it active? Is it strong? And, whether you say, okay, I need to go in it or not. Don't just go in.
so, and
Learn your hive.
a lot of people this time of year be like, oh, look at all the bees on the front. I've got plenty of bees because they're bearded, right? Wrong. That could be all the bees in the hive on the front porch. So you still need to all right, we're good. You still need to do that. You need to check your food sources. Terry's rule of thumb: if I pick up on a 10 frame box, if it make this, gonna die. If I grunt, probably gonna be good. So if it takes some heft to look going into the winter and pick it up, you're all right. But if it feels like that box, you better be feeding fast. So.
I'll probably need to start shutting this down. Any last questions? Well, thank y'all so much for attending. I hope y'all learned something. You got a lot out of this. Thank y'all for coming, and we'll see you in a couple of days at the new next meeting.
Yeah, thank you.
Dave Tarpon.
Here's Butch's recipe.
Yeah, there's a recipe if anybody needs any.
Thank you.
Oh, you got recipes?
I've only been to one so far, but it was a good one. That was the one that down in North Carolina.
Bill?
What do you think?
So it's actually Leslie, his wife.
Oh.
She bought it when her mom died like 6 years ago.
Yeah, sounds good. Great.
Nice
to meet you. Nice to meet you.
All right. And she said, hey, if whoever needs it, just let me know.
You guys need help cleaning up or anything?
Yep.
So,
All right.
So I called her. She's like, hey, can I borrow it? And she goes, yes. And I'm like, thank you. So anyway, she says we can have it anytime we need it.
All right.
What can I help you with?
There's a chance. Once you put the nuke in there, the good queen, we'll get you at least one hive.
Anybody else done him?
Maybe tomorrow or Monday. Wednesday I'm going out of town for several days, so.
Well, you hit it this time.
Yeah, but
You hit it this time.
Oh yeah, they're getting water.
94 years old. So.
Like the Rolling Stones. Every week you go see her and
I've got to, or at least more. But
thank you.
give me a call tomorrow.
Okay.
And right now, my mind's trying to get everything else done, so I'll probably forget about you. Give me a call tomorrow about 12 o'clock.
okay.
We'll see what we can do.
All right, I'll do that. Thank you.
All righty.
Were those the recipes?
They're in there. Towards the bottom. I tried to stack them in different directions so they could keep them straight. Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I gotta go to work.
Some of those are wet.
And you want to know where we can get some.
Okay. So what I'll do is I'll put it on tomorrow. Put it on Facebook.
Hey, with the signature,
Just
right there.
do me a favor, set it in the truck, white truck.
So I think that
I gotta go in tomorrow. We had a water heater go south, and
Uh-oh.
they were gonna.
Here's a
they were
list
just
your
gonna
mic
farm it
numbers
out.
for you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. I
Yeah, at
appreciate
least
you.
get that so it doesn't blow away or something.
Alrighty, I do appreciate it. Thank you for all
You're
your hard
welcome.
work.
You're welcome.
Wow.
Yeah, well, they're selling the building,
Do it.
and they've reduced
Yes,
us
please.
down to one shift guy per shift.
And the
And
candy
all of their
box.
rules and our company rules are
Yes.
any procedure is done is done with procedure.
He's in school, you knew how to do it.
You got us down to one apiece, one in a day and one at night. So it's fun stuff.
yes.
All right, we got it upside down.
That's nice. Thank you very much for all time. Take care.
All right, hope you enjoyed and hope you learned something.
Yeah, I wasn't real sure how all that went about.
Well, guess what? We're not sure either. Thank you.
If you're using frame feeder and you got two deeps, would you put your frame feeder in the top box?
Yes, mainly because you don't want to make it easier on you. So if
Yeah.
it's in a top box, one thing you got to do is slide the cover over,
Right.
throw it in there.
Right. If you're not, unless you're doing an inspection, you wouldn't
Yeah.
normally go into the bottom.
No.
So just make it easier.
Yeah, make it easier. You're the one that's working these bees, and make it easier on you.
Right.
All of my bees are in the shade because it's easier on me.
Free tool in the back.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was wondering.